You're watching Hellbent Holler live. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Hellbent Holler Live. My name is Jesse. This is Joe, and I want to welcome you all to another fantastic, spectacular, bodacious, mondamacious.
It's not even a word.
Mondamacious.
Just making up words right now. Monumacious.
Monumental. That's a good word.
So it's like
Mondo. Monument.
I don't know.
It's not real.
The show's already off.
It's off the rails. All right. Well, welcome to the show. Regardless of it all, welcome, welcome, welcome. We want to say welcome to all of the new people who have joined us today who have not been a part of Hellbent Holler Live before. This is our weekly show. We do at 7:30 Eastern every Monday. As you see, we are here. But I just want to welcome you all, anybody that's new. Sometimes we have topics that we are very specifically looking to talk about.
Sometimes we just wing it.
Sometimes we just wing it. Sometimes it's kind of free form. We talk about kind of current events.
Because I don't really feel the need to prepare anymore.
You just got it. You just got it.
Does like a lion prepare to like chase down a gazelle? You know, or the sun prepare to rise in the morning? I don't need to prepare. Just come here and I just shine, baby. I just shine.
All right, well, I'm gonna call it a day. We're just
We're done here. That's it.
We're gonna let the sun shine over here. So, and a big welcome to all of our regulars, our hell benders, and all of our members of our channel that make it possible for us to do this. It is a wild and wacky summer so far. I think everybody is hitting that fatigue point. I think that I saw in the chat that Kim was like, I can't believe kids are going back to school. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's good. That means the summer is starting to draw to a close and all the Halloween stuff is starting to come out in all the stores and drive the women crazy. So that's good in my view. Because it's hard out there for a pimp. So,
what do you think my evenings off when I get off work consist of nowadays? Just to guess.
Am I guessing? Because I know.
Oh no, you know exactly what my evenings consist of.
Go ahead.
If you guessed, driving Jesse from store to store.
This is not every day. This is you're exaggerating now.
Driving Jesse from store to look at the Halloween stuff that's come out. I looked at her at one place the other day and I just went, you're overstimulated. Calm down. You're vibrating.
I was vibrating. I was excited. But I'm excited. I'm ready for it. I like spooky stuff and I'm ready for it. I know we're all ready for it because this heat is killing us. Makes it insane. We were actually planning on, we were actually talking about going out to the URIs this weekend But after the fiasco last time we were out there with the rattlesnake, and B, us almost dying from heat stroke, we kind of reconsidered. So we might do some mountain stuff instead. We've got a couple of mountainous areas we want to go to, but gosh, we are so ready. Ready.
Continue. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So I wanted to remind everybody that Tennessee Wildman and Crypticon is in about 3 weeks, I believe. It's August the 10th. That's in McMinnville, Tennessee. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I know the Deuster is going to be there, Martin Groves. It's just going to be a good time. It's going to be a great time. It's all of us are going to kind of get together and have a good time, and be a lot of good speakers and a lot of really good vendors from what I saw. So I think that's going to be kind of the official kickoff of kind of the fall spooky season, is the Tennessee Wildman and Cryptozoology.
Dead and Yard Hunt just said, thank you for that, by the way, buddy. We just had our Halloween convention. So, yeah. Is that where you debuted the Dogman mounts that you were doing? So
Dead and Yard Hunt has been working on these Dogman mounts that are crazy. They're like black fur and bloody mouths. And he's got one that's like a Dogman head on a pike that has like dripping flesh, gooey stuff out the back. It's really cool. And flies. The addition of the flies.
Go to Cracker. We have not been to Cracker Barrel. Thanks, LW. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for adding more into my evening commute from store to store now. They have a witch's broom that goes around the room like a Roomba. So, all right.
Yeah.
Let's get wrapped up in this, shall we? Obviously, we released a video last week.
On Wednesday?
Yeah, on Wednesday.
Yes.
So I manned the after show chat solo since Jesse was working. No, we did that on Thursday.
Thursday.
So
you can tell we cannot keep days together. It's all running together at this point. Yeah, so we debuted our latest video on Thursday. I was experimenting with a new intro because I'm learning how to use After Effects right now. So I was experimenting with a new intro for that video, and I'm actually pretty proud of what I made with that. But in that video, we go out and we explore that very strange email that we received, and we discussed that email last week, I believe it was, the infamous Mitchell email, where the gentleman went out with his girlfriend's friend, and her boyfriend, and their 2 dogs, and they had a run-in with some sort of large screaming beast, and the dogs ran off into the woods, and something happened, and the dogs did not come back. So in that video, we went out there and found the campsite. So found the campsite, explored around there, and there is a part 2 to that will be coming out soon, so you can see the rest of that investigation. But it's always fun and interesting, and I think thorough on our part to when we
just
compliment
toot our own horn there a little bit. Why don't you?
I mean, we get a ton of emails all the time, and I think we're going to start investigating some of these when we're able to. We do get stories and encounters from areas that are across the country. That's not going to happen. But when it's somewhere nearby and we can actually go out there, and it's like, okay, we figured out where this is. We know where this is. We can actually go out to the location where this happened. And it's not a story that happened 6 years ago or 20 years ago. It's a story. It's an encounter that happened just a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it's that fresh at that point.
And I know a lot of people were like, oh, this is too grim of a subject, because it's a grim subject that something might have happened to this person's animals. But it's recent. It's close by to other reports we've gotten similar to that. This one's a little bit more dramatic and a lot more fleshed out, but you can't ignore it. You have to kind of look into it. So there you go.
But just the fact that we could go out there and it's the same thing with what happened with the LBL. And speaking of LBL, M Spano 7.
Already had that.
Oh, sorry. Yep. Okay. M Spano 718 says you guys did great in Dogman territory. It's the same kind of thing with that. Joe and I kind of laughed at the whole Dogman subject, and we've talked about this before. It was kind of a joke for us. It was something that we, you know, there is no way that there is an upright canid that's going around these woods like attacking and killing people. There's no way that anybody's having these experiences. It's if anything, it's a misidentified Sasquatch at this point in time. And we had that view, and we kind of, you know, we made a joke about Dogman Summer and everything about that. And then we started getting these really insane encounters near us. And then we started going and actually interviewing those people and checking out those encounters. And it started to add to the validity of it. And I think we got so tired of hearing these rumors about the LBL that we finally just said, F it, let's go. And, you know, that was actually 2 years ago.
I know, it's crazy.
It feels like it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because that Doom Chapel photo came up on my Facebook, and I was like, oh my God, that was 2 years ago. It just feels like so much longer ago. But we actually went up there and went to the area where the alleged massacre took place and walked around the area, dug around, looked around. What is here? What is the possibility of there actually being a campground here? Just being really thorough, doing a lot of research on how has the land changed over the years, what's the history of the area, who inhabited this area, and what changes occurred. And I think really establishing that context went a long way. And we spent the last 2 years going back to the LBL several times. And we do long expeditions there. We do about 10 days at a time when we go, and we are working the entire time we're out there. We don't really eat much. We eat cold Pop-Tarts in the truck, you know, in a parking lot, and then just get back to work. But all of that kind of came to a head with Dogman Territory. We were actually able to discuss all of our work, all of the time and effort and work that we had put into this LBL situation. We were actually able to express that and actually put that out there for a wider audience via Small Town Monsters. We're so happy to do Dogman Territory. I think that it really did justice to the story as it is right now, and actually made the LBL scary again.
Yeah, it did. You know, it did. It kind of brought the cool factor back to the LBL. You know, the LBL was feeling a little overexposed, and just the surface stuff was being covered so much. Nobody was really doing a deep dive into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, people hanging out at campgrounds, and that's cool and all, but that's not where the magic's happening at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not where the mystery's taking place at, you know. So it was kind of cool to get down there. And it's funny because when we did that interview with Aaron Deese this Friday, who is in the documentary and wrote the accompanying book, Hunting Grounds, about the Dogman phenomenon in the LBL. And even he had said, he was like, man, we were all walking around. It was like an Avengers movie or something like that. Everybody's like gathered together. It's like Alex Petikoff and Eli Watson, and then you and me, and then like, you know, Seth Breedlove, Aaron, Shannon LeGros, Heather Mosier, you know, the Hendersons were there, you know, so it was just all, it was just kind of cool walking those roads together and everything like that.
Yeah.
We don't usually go out in big groups like that, but if you're going to go out with a big group, that's the group to go with. So
yeah,
thank you for that, Curtis Whitaker.
And we really enjoyed having Aaron on Friday. That was our first time actually interviewing anybody. And we wanted to have him on after Dogman Territory came out because he was out there with us, and he was so integral to the production of that. And he wrote the book on it at this point.
Yeah, he did. He literally wrote the book. And we were talking. The reason why we titled this "How We Did" is, and you know what? I forgot the damn title exactly, even though we discussed it ad nauseum. The Renaissance of Cryptozoology, because you're starting to feel that right now, man. It's like we're entering.
That's spurred off of your comment saying that Aaron is like the Renaissance man.
He is the Renaissance man. He's like I told him, he's an author, podcaster, researcher, documentary filmmaker. All he needs to do now is drop like a mixtape. Get in the studio, get some like Dogman
and a cookbook.
Oh shit, and a cookbook. There you go. Thank you for that, Curtis. Thank you,
Curtis.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's
well, you know, it's the thing is that we're kind of entering a second golden age, right?
Yeah.
Of like, because there's a lot of really cool people doing stuff now, and you know, Aaron's off to like such an awesome. I mean, he's not off to a start because he's been doing this for a while, but with the Dogman stuff,
yeah.
He's like the heir apparent to like Linda Godfrey at this point. You know, he's doing because again, people can collect stories and then just compile them and put them out. It's the research, the accompanying research. When I say research, not just watching YouTube videos, I'm talking digging into old library archives and contacting county offices. The stuff that Linda Godfrey did, Aaron is doing now. And it's really cool to watch.
And gathering all of these stories and these accounts. But, you know, and another thing that I really stood out to me with his book is he brings context to the situation. And I know that you and I try to do that as well. What is going on in the world when this is going on, when these events are happening? What is that? Because I know that you and I kind of go through this. We discuss this a lot, that it seems like the human part of this, whatever that is, the human energy that focuses on these things, that has an effect on these cryptids and on these paranormal events. We don't know why, what the cause and effect situation is, what the relationship is, but it seems like people and going through negative experiences, trauma, you know, really dark periods of time, it seems like those things kind of whip up paranormal activity.
Yeah, when there's like a lot of, it's a chicken or the egg type thing. You know, something happens, and sometimes like a crazy story happens and that just disappears into the news cycle. Other times it happens and it gets the public's imagination fired up. And then just you start seeing repeated activity like that. Yeah, some of that's probably misidentification. People have got UFOs or Dogman or Bigfoot on the brain, but a lot of times I think it's the increased mental attention that's being paid, that mental energy that's being like spent on this. It makes the activity stronger. And I think you're starting to see that right now.
Yeah.
You're starting to see, we talked about this a few shows ago with all the people that have never heard of Dogman, never heard of the Land Between the Lakes, never heard of any of this phenomena are now being exposed to it, and they're thinking about it, and they're spending more time looking into it. What sort of result is that going to cause? Like, what are we going to see now?
And not only more people looking into it, but the availability of equipment.
Yeah.
You know, Joe and I talk about this all the time. We're kind of in this golden age of acquiring equipment. Any kind of camera equipment that you could ever want, you can order right now, you know, and you can get it. Things that used to be completely out of reach because of financial reasons, or you just couldn't get them because they were hard to find. You can actually find them on the internet and order them from people. We had infrasound detection equipment built that is portable. We had that built for our purposes because there's a guy that builds it, and Joe got in contact with him and asked him to build this unit for us. That would be unthinkable 10 years ago.
I'm coming up with this thing right now that I'm sketching out. That's going to be like awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm going to build it out of, I've got to get a central piece built at a machine shop probably, but then the rest of it, I think I can build with just like off the shelf stuff. It's going to repurpose some of our existing technology, but it'll be pretty cool. So.
But also for the fact that we can actually purchase full spectrum cameras that we can use those. We have full spectrum camera rigs we can use at night. I think that the availability of this technology has made it easier for people to actually go out and start capturing the phenomenon.
Well, it's that, and Graham had made a backup comment to this, but he asked if we'd seen the Harvard report on the cryptoterrestrial theory. Harvard released a
Is that Mac Tony's?
No. Well, Mac Tony's came up with the cryptoterrestrial. So
I know anytime Mac Tony's comes up, Joe has to go, how do I get into
people
this?
talked about ultra-terrestrials, okay, which were creatures not from like, there's extraterrestrials, they're off planet. You know what I'm saying? They're from like, I mean, not from Jupiter, but like another planet within our universe. Ultra-terrestrials, which were from like interdimensional. You know what I'm saying? You know, they come from another dimension. They come through like a portal, a wormhole, anything like that. Cryptoterrestrials were beings that are here on Earth. We just catch glimpses of them. That might be the explanation for our fairy legends, for a lot of folklore, a lot of mythology, might be what we're seeing with UFOs. And that's what Harvard, there was, let me look it up. It was like 2 Harvard professors and then a guy from like University of Montana Technological University. they literally put forward a thing about the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis, that what we think of extraterrestrial, like these UFOs, they might be from here. And it could be a sister species to mankind. It could be something else that evolved here before us, maybe suffered a population decline. They just exist in little pockets and they have advanced technology, which is why they've been able to stay hidden from us. But now our technology is catching up and our sensor tech is able to pick them up more often. So when you're getting to the point where people are talking about it, and it's not just really good documentaries from documentary filmmakers, it's not stuff that researchers and investigators like ourselves put out. You start getting people from Harvard literally talking about it publicly. You wouldn't have seen that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you have somebody like Gary Nolan, who has more patents than anybody, you know, and works for Stanford, and he's heading up these initiatives with the UAPs and studying people's brain patterns when they have these encounters.
John Mack from Harvard did that big study on alien abductions, and he went into it thinking, I'm about to discover a new psychosis. All right. I'm about to basically have a new mental disease put on the books. And then he just went, holy crap, that's not what's happening here. Something is happening to these people. An external force is happening to these people. He got crucified. They tried to drum him out. They tried to take his tenure away and kick him out. Now people are just posting posting reports like willy-nilly publicly. And
it's matter of fact at this point. That's
what I'm saying. It's all building, man. Like I said, it's a golden age, man. It is a golden age. It's a golden age of people that are getting involved in this. You're starting to feel an energy to it.
Yeah.
It's causing some conflict. A lot of people that have been in this for a while don't like that new energy, man. But guess what? It's coming. It's here.
Yeah.
It's all of these people that are starting to get in there.
But I also think, understanding that the phenomenon, the variety of phenomenon, if it's part of a larger thing, a lot of people who have been doing this a while and who are getting perhaps perturbed that other people are getting involved and making new discoveries and doing this, they need to understand that this is much bigger than them.
Exactly.
This is much bigger than all of us. This is something that we can't even fathom how large it is.
Well, you can't, and that goes perfectly with this comment from the old PC Express. Us humans seem to only consider advancement in terms of our technology. Squatches could have been here all along and advanced in biological ways humans haven't. That's always the key thing that people seem to miss out for when they talk about things that are alien. Alien doesn't just mean from somewhere else. It means incomprehensible to you. That's alien to me. Okay. It's something completely novel and new that you've never experienced before. And you don't have a frame of reference to be able to look at it and digest it. And that might be very well the case. You might have we think of technology in the linear progression that we've had it. It might be places out there that we wouldn't even recognize it as tech,
Spiritual technology.
Biological technology.
Yeah.
You might see things that are just basically different forms of radiated energy that are just contained within plasma fields. And that's how it's manipulated. It's all energy on energy. You can have all sorts of stuff. And we might look at it and go, alien life, we might look at it and not even recognize that it's life. Same thing with this. I've always thought about that, is that if you had a race, mankind are tool users because we had to be tool users. Okay? We don't have claws. We don't have fangs. We don't have horns. We're not particularly fast. We're not particularly strong. So we had to adapt and build this stuff.
Just very, very good looking.
So we,
I threw a monkey wrench on there on you. I'm sorry. I had to Zoolander it.
But if you had a race of beings that was as intelligent as we are, but in a different way, and they didn't need to make those tools because they already had the natural gifts that those tools are meant to kind of replace, then maybe all of a sudden you see a parallel. I don't know, man. It's when you're starting to see people that are, this is not the Weekly World News talking about it anymore, man. It's Harvard. It's and if you guys have not seen it, it's a pretty interesting article, man.
Rob S was saying that there's a diacyanin aura lens kit for cameras. 52 millimeter price is $149.99. Have they made an aura lens kit? Because I knew there was like a whole process in order to do aura photography. I've always been incredibly interested in doing aura photography. But if there's actually like a lens kit that you can now purchase,
Well,
I would love to look into that because that would be fantastic.
How do you pronounce it? Diacyanin?
I wrote it down. Diacyanin?
Now, diacyanin is what was the basis for that red night vision that I'm fascinated by. And if you guys have never heard about
oh my God, the red night vision thing.
The red night vision stories are insane. People talking about how, everybody's seen green night vision, phosphor-based night vision, stuff like that. But they had red night vision that apparently they tested in Vietnam.
I was going to try to see if I could bring up like a picture.
And when soldiers were trying it out, they were trying it in the lab. It worked great. They go to field test it and they're firing their guns just at what looks like nothing because they're seeing literal monsters with these things that couldn't be seen with the naked eye. Now, you hear that bandied about every so often, and it's a cool story, whether it happened or not. It's a cool story. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where, you've heard it mentioned and you've heard people with varying degrees of like authority speak on it.
Yeah.
However, I was on I have to be a gear nut doing this job. Okay. Doing what I do, I have to be a gear nut. Jesse had to learn video editing, learn a lot of ways to review video and audio evidence. I have to put the screws together and do everything like that. So I was on that forum that time. And these are not cryptid people. These are not cryptid people. These are not paranormal people. These are night vision enthusiasts. Ex-military guys who just like it for the hobby, predator hunters, everything like that, people that use night vision. And I'm talking about not just use night vision, but like build it out of spare parts. I mean, people that are really into it. And the story of red night vision kind of came up. And that's how I stumbled across this. And I'm reading it. And these are people kind of talking about the same stories we're talking about right now. This red night vision, you could see like monsters with it. Oh, that's a bunch of hooey, that doesn't make any sense. And then two of like the real knowledgeable old timers on the thing started going, well, I don't know, man. I mean, I remember somebody put a set of those up for sale on eBay. And the listing and then the account got yanked so quick that it was like crazy. And this other guy starts going, yeah, I've heard the same stories, that there's something to this, that obviously it wasn't just a red film, but there was just some sort of special night vision. And apparently a few pieces walked off and they're always on the lookout for them.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, holy crap, this is like incredible, and these guys are even not saying they believe it or not believe it, but this is what I saw. This is what I had somebody in a position of authority tell me. There's something to that. I do think that there was some early technology that maybe let them see something they weren't expecting to see. And when you were testing it in a sterile laboratory, it was one thing. When you get out in the jungles of Vietnam, all of a sudden they saw stuff they weren't expecting.
David Steffi said that his uncle used it in Vietnam.
Really? Okay. Did your uncle have any of the reported, did he see anything that these people report seeing? It would be good to hear a secondhand account on that.
Horrors of another dimension.
Where the Sploot's got a good one. A lot of the people doing this a while are bitter because what else change may bring and what they went through. Being bitter won't help. They should dust off their research and adapt to the new. One of Jesse's favorite quotes, and it's for the scientific community, but the science progresses one funeral at a time. It's not inventions or discoveries that really propel science. It's basically the changing of the guard. And what you see is you get people that are just very tied into their pet theory that maybe they became well known for, and now things are, and I don't think there's no theories have really supplanted anything. I just think that you're seeing a cool factor to this nowadays that you didn't see before. Let's just be honest. When you get outside like the cryptid and UFO and ghost communities, people kind of like snicker at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just like, oh, look at that. It's a laughable topic to a lot of people. And all of a sudden now it's not becoming a laughable topic anymore.
Yeah.
People are starting to take it seriously. It's starting to feel cool again. You know what I'm saying?
It's starting to be exciting again,
I mean, and it should be. I can't remember who we told that time. And I was just like, we're running around the woods at night looking for like literal werewolves, man. How cool is that? You know what I'm saying? That's about as cool as you can get. And it's starting to get that public feel to it now. So, all right, see what else we got here.
I was looking at that kit just now. They said that there's
Save that.
Yeah, I've got it on here. I've got it.
Big Racer had said night vision's almost normal now. Thermal, not so much. Thermal's getting there.
And thermal's getting more and more like available, man. I mean, it's super. I think some of it's gotten cheaper since we got into it.
We're getting ready to ramp up our thermal. We would have already have done it if we hadn't got hit by that storm, but we're going to ramp up to the next level for thermal imaging. Because again, the best, clearest, like irrefutable data that you can bring to the table, that's what we need right now. Because even with thermals, low-grade thermals, you catch heat, but it's a blob squatch, but it's a heat blob squatch instead of something else. This will give us more definition. We'll be able to pick out stuff better. We'll be able to look at it and go, that's nothing. Or that isn't actually a deer. We know that's a deer. Or, whoa, that doesn't look like any wildlife around here. We might be onto something.
Follow up to the Vietnam vet uncle who had the experience with the night vision. David Steffi says he didn't like talking about the stuff he'd seen, and it was freaky.
Don't leave us hanging, David.
Yeah.
What sort of freak? The stories were, the one story that I remember hearing, and I'm sure there were others, is that they gave a helicopter door gunner a set of these red night vision goggles, and he just started shooting out into like what they thought was like thin air. And he said things were flying at the helicopter. That once they kind of determined.
Did they look like a jellyfish UAP?
No, they look like winged demon type things, man. But he said that once they realized that he could see them, they started like really like getting angered by the fact that he could see them, and they were like dive bombing the helicopter and all that. So
Reverend PC also says that he's had vets tell him about seeing cryptids in Vietnam.
Lady Wolf, best mod in business. Personally, I love the fact that respect is being brought back to the LBL via you and small town monsters. And again, you know, what's weird is that I've said this a couple times. Everybody always gets hung up on the negativity and the toxicity of like all of the paranormal communities and all that. The best way to combat that is to make sure that really cool people do well and, you know what I'm saying, thrive in that community. That's why whenever you hear Aaron go, oh, they helped me with my book so much, because we want to see Aaron do really well in this, man. You know, we want to see small town monsters do really well at this, you know. They approach it in a professional yet a very kind manner, you know. And that's what we kind of like to do. We want to us, it's just about the pursuit of knowledge. It's not about ego. I don't know how it can be about ego. This is an ego killer. Anyway,
it could be not about egos, but definitely about ego waffles. I think we should have more
ego waffles in this.
We need more waffles in the cryptozoology field.
Eat some waffles right now, man. So,
all right, I got some stuff marked. If you want to go through,
let's go. Stuff. Let's knock it through. Let's knock it through.
We got some questiones off.
Teddy Smooth, do you believe the aliens are Nephilim-like? I think that. The reason why you see such repetition in all of like the major religions and like more regional or local, like specific folklore, why you see so much repetition and all that is that all of them were dealing with basically the same thing. And there's regional variations. You see like cryptids or whatnot in one region that just are, you know, like flying severed heads and stuff like that. And you know, like Asian folklore, but that you don't really see in other places. But, you know, for a lot of the main ones, there's a lot of repetition to it. Mm-hmm. Just because some of it's true doesn't mean some of it's not made up.
And you're seeing a lot of commonalities with things, with people who had no contact with one another through history.
No contact whatsoever.
But you're seeing a lot of commonalities from people who are across the world from each other around the same eras, who are doing the same things, like pyramid building or something like that. But they're also describing the same kind of entities that they're seeing out there.
Yeah. So I think that as far as it being like
putting a name to it like that, I don't think that.
Yeah, but at the same token, some sort of hybridization. I mean, every culture has got their version of demigods, you know.
Do you want to make Nephilim host mothers cool again?
Nephilim host mothers. I try to leave that in the past, man.
I'm not that man anymore.
Not that man anymore. So, So I don't know. I think that whatever's been going on here has been going on a long, long time. Wasn't that a line from the X-Files? The smoking man, didn't he say that?
I think so.
That, oh, they've been here a long, long time.
And I think we go through periods, like we were talking about earlier, we have periods where everything's kind of dusts up and people get more interested in this and there's more eyeballs on this. After World War I, there was the spiritualist movement. I think that was a period in which more eyeballs were looking at this, more people were getting involved.
And you were having some crazy documented paranormal activity.
And I think right now is one of those eras too. I think it's been going on forever. But there are periods in which humanity kind of starts to turn the lens on it and really starts to focus on it. And, you said something about, you've said this before, that human attention is like the currency of the soul. It's something like that sort of maybe ramps it up while we're looking at it. And we have a lot of crazy stuff happen and we see it and document it. And then we start to forget and it starts to fade and we start to forget, but then it'll always kind of crop back up later on.
I mean, they always tell you in haunted houses, don't pay attention to it. You'll make it stronger. That attention makes things stronger. And there's a lot of attention going on this stuff right now. And then guess what? It's like, it's a snowballing effect. More attention paid to it. And then you're seeing this new crop of just really good, authentic, cool people doing this stuff. And you're starting to see like innovation with stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at just the stuff we hear on like a weekly basis, people throwing ideas at us. We're like, yes, status quo ain't cutting it. Same old stuff ain't cutting it. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if another footprint never gets cast ever. You know what I'm saying? We got enough. Let's move on to something else, man. If you want to do it for your own self, knock yourself out. But here's the deal. Let's focus on some stuff that hasn't been done yet before.
Yeah.
So real quick side note.
What?
David mentioned again about heck, I just lost everything.
It's all over now.
All over the damn place. In the tunnels, he said he saw demons with horns. Just some of the stuff. When I get my email right, I'll send you more.
That's awesome. Yes, please do.
We're going to try to get caught up on email this week. Our email is like a cluster. It's just.
I feel like we say that every week. I think that should be on the Help and Holler bingo card.
Yeah, we're trying to clean it up. It's just that
our email is a nightmare.
We got hit with a bunch of spam, and that made it harder to get through stuff. Some people gave us some hints on how to affect that. So, anyway, all right. So what else you got started here?
I've got some.
Did you find those like lenses? Did you write those lenses?
I've got it right here. Yeah, I've got the kit right here. I'm totally gonna look into it.
All right, Stingray. What is you did LiDAR on the LBL?
What is you did LiDAR on the LBL?
Stingray, sorry.
Stingray's half in the bag.
Half in the bag. And what time is it out there, for God's sakes? We did not do LiDAR on the LBL.
No, I'd love to. LiDAR is expensive.
It's getting cheaper though, man.
It's getting cheaper. I would love a LiDAR unit because I would just do that on everything. I think
the base units are like a good one's like $600. It's just getting everything else out. The LiDAR drones I looked are not getting more expensive. Those are $30,000. So LiDAR drones will not be happening anytime soon.
I would LiDAR the world.
I would LiDAR the world too.
There's several groups on Facebook that I'm part of because I'm fascinated with LiDAR. Because a lot of people they go over like the UK and they find these
fortifications
that nobody knew was there, like the old Roman fortifications, and nobody knew they were there. And so they're finding these areas that are new archaeology sites. And you would think that they have pretty much dug up everything in the UK that's possible and discovered everything that's possible. But they are finding new sites all the time.
And that's the thing, is that look how small the freaking UK is.
I know. And you're still discovering.
And you're still finding stuff.
Yeah,
so then you're saying that somewhere the size of like North America, we know all there is to know.
Right.
Ain't nothing. Hey, we found everything out, man. Every time people start to think like that we've just found everything out, then the next thing you know, you get something crazy like heavier than air flight, or something. I mean, it's just
there is an old overlay that I used to use when we would go out before we'd go to a new area. I would use this old Google Maps overlay to look for Native American earthworks, mounds and earthworks and stuff like that. I found out actually that the house I grew up in, there was actually a major one that was like hidden back maybe half a mile from the house I grew up in, which was super fascinating to me. But I always use this overlay, and I can't find this overlay anymore. But there is one area that we scouted out recently to hopefully investigate in the coming months when it kind of cools off a little bit. We were scouting around there, and I was like, there's something about this area. There's something about this area. And then I get back, I start doing some more research into the area, and I find out there are 2 mounds hidden in the woods out there. There's 2 mounds that they're not plotted. People have been to them, but they have never been investigated. They've never been, nothing's ever been dug up out of them, but there's 2 mounds back there. So it's just fascinating that all of these areas that we go to, we hear all these stories from, we get accounts from. It turns out that there's native earthworks nearby. It's 9 times out of 10, any of these locations where we have all of this activity or these reports, there's earthworks nearby. So I just find that super fascinating that this area that you and I decided to check out because of some accounts that we had gotten, it turns out there's 2 earthworks that are just kind of lost to time in those woods.
A couple other quick things here real quick. Michael Tovar had asked, wasn't that Vietnam where the monkey men were being seen? Yeah, rock apes. I read a thing the other day. It was a rebuttal to the Minnesota Iceman being fake. And there was a theory going around that the Minnesota Iceman was a rock ape that had been shot and killed in Vietnam.
I saw that this week.
Smuggled out. Yeah, it's crazy. And I'm reading it and I'm going, this makes sense. You know what I'm saying? This makes sense. So let's see what else. Rhonda Williams had asked, y'all got any videos or trips coming out? Well, we released the one on Thursday. The follow-up to that will be coming out soon. We're going to be getting some more Uwari footage to kind of wrap Uwari up. We have some new information about the Grove. A gentleman contacted us. There is a lot of stuff in the works right now. A lot of stuff. So much so that if we stopped putting out videos, we could just do investigations like literally every day. I wish we had we don't need a camera crew. We need like an autonomous drone that just follows us and films us.
Told you I need an intern.
And then edits the video and then puts it out and then just, works for free. But yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff in the works.
We need an intern.
Tom Drake, have either one of you been overcome with uncontrollable fear while out in the field?
Yes.
I've had that feeling where just you feel like something's getting ready to go down, like you're getting you feel like tension building, and then you just feel like it's going to snap. Jesse's more empathetic, more open to this stuff than I am. You felt it sometimes. You've been out there and it feels normal, and then all of a sudden you feel like just the hair raise on your arms, and then you feel like you're in danger, and then it just passes and you're like, what just happened here? What just came through this area that caused me to have that? So yeah, that's happened before. And your mind does sometimes. We're doing weird stuff in the middle of the night in weird places looking for weird things. So you always have to kind of think that your mind could possibly run away with it. But JD Smoot's got a good one here had a friend of mine's dad told me that apes attacked his platoon in Vietnam. He said they was throwing rocks at them and they shot at them, found blood, but no bodies. And they knew what let's see if he's got we've got a LiDAR denier here.
LiDAR denier.
Can't count on LiDAR to give you the truth. LiDAR denier. Got a LiDAR denier.
Oh. Poncho Zorch says that your hair looks better than mine tonight.
I need a haircut. My hair's long, so.
It's because his is crispy and in place.
Yes.
I was out in the humidity.
Oh, Dorothy Wade. Take the D out of LiDAR. Maybe it isn't. Maybe not.
Why do people hate LiDAR so much?
I don't know.
Much?
There's
an anti-LiDAR contingent
movement here. So.
Did you see what Dooster said about the JD Smooth's comment? Dooster said that a friend of mine told me his platoon was harassed, but what he described as a big white ape creature gave him nightmares until the day he died.
So.
Did you already read that? I'm sorry.
No. I just had not gone down that far at this point. So Boy Centurion just popped in. What's up, my friend? Spreading the Strange told me I didn't miss out on that. You missed all the Vietnam stories, man. That's something that I just have a passing familiarity with. I don't really know that much about the rock ape thing other than it happened, and I learned probably more about it reading that thing about the Minnesota Iceman than I previously knew. So, but apparently that they didn't find any bodies. Well, that sounds familiar. So, all right, let's see what else we got here.
Dead air.
Dead air.
Dead air. I'm sorry, I'm going through the chat right now.
Oh, hold on. Suji's got a good one. I saw original video of the Minnesota Iceman. There were tendrils of serosanguinous fluid coming up out of the wounds that became frozen as they rose up through the water. You can't fake that.
What?
What? I know that the thing that got sold to that Oddities Museum was basically rubber, but everybody was going, oh no, the government took the real one and replaced it with this one to kind of.
They did exactly what you have said that they would do. Is they
would
replace
take it with
out.
Something else.
They swap it out.
So
Sammy Alden, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Sammy. Greatly appreciate it. So thank you. Bonnie Blue McGee might have fear responses like when you saw the portal, you keep your wits. That takes courage. It's weird because different things affect us differently. Where Jesse was all like, rush towards it. I got to go to it. I got to go to it. I'm like,
Joe had a fear response.
To it, especially when I saw the figures around it. And other stuff.
And then,
well, I take that back. The things that we saw in the LBL, those running things,
gave us the same kind of. Well, it freaked me the hell out.
Yeah, it hit you harder. Breathe. I mean, I was just shocked seeing it. It gave you like a visceral, like you were down to tears at that.
That second time when we were at that second tent we discovered. And I saw that I like, you had to put me sit me down.
Yeah.
I hyperventilated. I couldn't handle it. But then you think about, that video we released where we got that crazy wailing dog man of Grove Lake thing. Yeah. I heard that and felt that thing in my chest and it scared me so bad.
Somebody was going
and then you just went right into the woods. Like
somebody had made a comment going, that's impossible. That could not have happened because the camera would have picked it up. And I'm going, I didn't hear it. You know what I'm saying? And it's weird because remember when we were talking about the Frey effect a couple of weeks ago and how radar waves, can have like an external effect upon your brain basically and make you hear sounds that aren't there. And you felt that in your chest too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't hear anything, I mean, obviously you did from your response. I wasn't second guessing you at that point, but what's up, South Force 10? What's going on, buddy?
Rhonda Williams, can we do a t-shirt check? I've been trying to read them. I'm wearing a ghost t-shirt. So
I'm wearing a Twin Tribes t-shirt.
So we're both wearing band t-shirts.
We're both wearing band t-shirts today. I think this is the only band t-shirt I own. It is the only band t-shirt I own. So
this is one
of 20 ghost shirts.
This is one of 20 ghost shirts I have. Yeah.
All right.
It's just so hot today. I was out in the yard doing a bunch of stuff today, so I look like a wet rat, and I'm wearing a t-shirt. So we're very, very casual today.
What kind of LiDAR equipment are you guys looking for?
We're not really looking.
We're not really looking because we'd need aerial LiDAR, and that's expensive. I mean. Again, once we hit that lottery and you guys will all of a sudden go,
there will be signs.
Why is Helmut Holler flying 10 LiDAR drones and thermal drones around? Let's see.
We'll launch them from our barge.
From the barge. Bristol saw the Iceman at the state fair.
So they toured it around?
They toured it around. That's how it.
I don't know much about the Iceman thing.
It was in a solid frozen block of ice, hence the name. It was shot in the back of the head. One eye was popped out. Like Suji said, there was like literal tendrils coming out.
See, when I hear about these things, I think about the Rick Dyer.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's the thing is that there were various stories given. One was that it was found in Siberia and brought over. One person said it was shot in Canada by a hunter. and then he came back like a year later, and I think was it Canada or Minnesota? I can't remember. There's various stories going around about it. The rock ape one, that it was killed there because I guess the guy who originally had it had served in Vietnam in an area where these rock ape reports were reported at, you know, where these rock apes were reported at. So, but yeah, and then all of a sudden it, a couple people went and, let's see.
See, Ristel said, here, hang on. Ristel said, I remember seeing the Iceman at the state fair when I was a kid. Yeah. Funny aside, while you're looking that up, the Sugar Flat Monster Head is going to be at the Tennessee Wildman.
Yeah, exactly.
Did
the
you see
head.
that?
So yeah.
Yeah. So it was in the basement.
Ivan Sanderson. That's why I couldn't. They went and like examined it. And
Yeah.
at first they went, this is real. It's real. It's real. And then eventually thawed, I think, when it was being taken to the museum, and it was just like, oh, it's just rubber suit guys. But part of the story is that the government came,
swapped it out,
and took it. And I can't remember if they swapped it out or he got a rubber suit so he could keep touring with it because he was making money off it at that point. So
5 cents for a view with the Iceman. The Iceman was getting into them cheese rinds and took a hit.
Centurion, do you think because we're in a simulation, the program was never planned for the dead Bigfoot dead bodies? That's actually pretty.
You would think it would adapt, you know?
Yeah, you would think it would be adaptive because the world's changing constantly. So if it is a simulation program, it's gotta have the ability to evolve. You think that would evolve something?
Yeah, if you've got like AI and machine learning, you know. Think about how far something like ChatGPT has come in a short period of time. I keep looking at how crazy.
Spilling tea with Spunky Sparky had asked, that was when you saw that thing you both saw separately that was just dark and like not right with how it moved? Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And as
the LBL.
Best we can tell, it's the same thing we both saw.
I saw it twice.
I saw it just the once, but it was fast, man. It was fast.
It's almost like it is just a flash, but you know how when you're having moments of high adrenaline and like these crazy moments, it's like just a split second is 10 minutes. It's like,
and it's not a shadow because I always say that it moved the branches. The one I saw moved the freaking branches and moved the branches, and it just baffled the hell out of me. So, and I still, I don't even have a name. I've never even come up with those things that we saw. It's all I ever come up with. I've never tried to name
shadow
them,
figure.
but I mean, they were.
But what's weird is like, and I think in the video, I even like imitate the way it moved. You know, those long, gangly arms,
like an extra joint or something in them. Craig the Hunter. We were on your show briefly the other night. So, asked you why you had a tie on. Did you have court on a Sunday? Must have been Sunday.
We have a proposition for Craig the Hunter.
We got to get in touch with Craig the Hunter.
We have an idea.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, my man.
We love you loving it. So, all right. Let's see what we got here.
Top Hat's thoughts. There's a thought from Top Hat's thoughts. If harp can alter thoughts, then a sound can be heard without a camera.
Well, that's the whole thing, is that it's not a mechanical wave that a microphone or your ears are picking up. It's something that's literally being beamed into your head. We need to do a whole show on like the Frey effect.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Joe went into this last week a little bit. He kind of touched on it towards the end of the show last week. This is something he's been kind of working through and going mad about for a while now. But yeah, you could definitely put together a whole diatribe about this. It's bizarre, but you can see how it would work, and it's been proved to be a thing. It's real, you know.
All right, get the helicopter. We'll have
helicopter. Holla holla.
Stephen Taylor popped out of the woodwork.
Hello, Stephen Taylor.
Hope you're doing
You forgot about the barge. You can't forget about the barge.
Forgot about the barge. So now we're just getting into like just private jokes here now. There we go. Michael Tovar asked, it was owned by who was the dude who, let's see, what was his name? The guy that originally owned it.
The Iceman?
Yeah, the Iceman.
I'm excited about seeing this Sugar Flat Monster hit. You know why? Because like you and I were going to go check this out a couple times when we were going to the LBL, because it was apparently in the basement of the town hall of some town in Tennessee that was off the path to go to LBL. And we were going to go to it, but then it turns out there was some sort of flood.
Yeah.
And then it went missing. And this is like the third time it's gone missing. So, but now she's come back. She's available.
That's a terrible photo. Hold on.
Do you want me to find one?
Yeah, find a photo for those people who don't know what the sugar flat.
I'll pull it up.
All right, let's see.
I got you. I got that head. There's a lot of, oh God, gnarly friend here.
Suji said, I think they made a second Iceman, a fake to cover up the original. Too many people had seen it in person. And that's the thing, is that you have people go, I saw the fake one. It looks nothing like what we saw. It looks nothing. And apparently, Ivan Sanderson and everybody that had examined it the first time.
Sugar flat monster.
There's the sugar flat monster head.
Yeah.
It's a head in a box. It's a taxidermied head in a box.
Head in a box.
But
somebody apparently
hit it
with a car on
died.
Sugar Flats Road in Tennessee.
Yeah. And they
took his noggin.
They took the noggin. They preserved the noggin. And then the noggin has come in and out of public awareness for a while.
It was in that basement for a while.
It was in the basement for a while.
And then there was a flood and it went missing. It's been missing for years at this point. Nobody knew where it was. And now it has resurfaced and it will be making an appearance at the Tennessee Wildman and Crypticon in McMinnville, Tennessee.
Bonnie Blue McGee. Did y'all see the gray thing in the same area as the ghost lady? The things that we saw, if you're talking about the quick things, are not gray. They're dark. They're dark.
It's like matte black,
but with definition to it. It's really weird to describe. In fact, I wish I could draw anything beyond stick figures, but it was not in the same area. We saw these around where we found the abandoned tents at, which were next to like what looked like small family cemetery plots, like old ones with basically just river rocks had been planted there for a headstone. Those were worn way down. The ghost lady at the graveyard, if that's what it was next to the cemetery, next to where the 82 massacre supposedly took place at. So yeah, two different spots, the LBL. I mean, the whole LBL has just got, it's just top to bottom with just every like hill and hollow seems like it has its own individual legend or
and it's such a variety of phenomena. We discussed this with Aaron on Friday that it's not just Dogman. Like you're not dealing with just Dogman and you're not dealing with just Sasquatch. You have occult activity in multiple locations. You've got people having sightings of disembodied spirits. You've got poltergeist type activity out in the woods. It's just it's a grab bag variety of paranormal activity.
Yeah.
And like we talked about too, that John Keel talks about these window areas. And, I think the LBL is definitely one of these window areas. And then what contributes to that? Like we mentioned earlier, the human presence, the presence of human misery maybe contributes to the existence of these window areas.
Hawk had said, remember me showing that comment about somebody else seeing that thing in the LBL. I got to go back through and look at that, Hawk. I'm having a hard time remembering that. That might have been one of those 3 a.m. conversations I had with you on Facebook Messenger. I have to go back. I'm going to go back through messages as soon as we get all this.
One time we were talking about this, and Martin Groves had some input on that he's actually gotten some reports of people seeing these things out there, but we don't have any kind of label for them at this point. We have no idea.
Sammy, another 20 trying to get you closer to LIDAR. And Michael, thank you, my friend. Great. Thank you so Michael. Much. We appreciate it. So. If we get 30 grand in the equipment fund, I'm going to be like LIDAR or all of this. I don't know, man. Maybe LIDAR will be the thing. I had another little comment here.
You're going to have the LIDAR deniers who are going to be
LIDAR deniers. Shade Viking had said he's talking about using AI to generate up images, and he goes, "Few strange things have been happening to me using AI. Okay, like it reads your mind and it's self-aware, haunted."
Ghost in the Machine.
I still think, we had a dark dive topic one time where we were going to talk about how AI is basically intelligence without a soul, and all of the old mysteries and cultures will tell you when there's an empty vessel, something moves in. You know, something will move in. You always hear that with people that wanted to like astral project or whatever. You know?
That they can't stay out of their bodies for too long.
Yeah, or don't invite things in because it'll push you out and take over, like with, you know, people that are possessed or whatnot. I've always been like, you know, are we building something that's going to have a silicon body and intelligence, but no soul at that point? What's going to move into that? Or is it already moved into it? Because, you know, you look at some AI, especially in its infancy. Remember some of those, like you would look at AI photos and you would just go, that's the most sinister looking thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, they were demonic.
Just be like an 8-year-old girl drinking tea, and it would be like, that's demonic looking. What the hell? Extra teeth, extra fingers, you know, but sometimes it would just, you would look at it and be nightmarish. Now it looks better. Is that because the AI has gotten better? Is it because it's learning to fool us better?
And I think you mentioned before, you know, go back to this Nephilim topic. You know, you mentioned before that the AI was actually putting the extra fingers on the hands, and
like
it was
the extra fingers and extra teeth,
and it was giving you that uncanny valley. And there's something inside of us that just registers immediately. Do not trust this thing. This thing is evil.
Moondog. Frank Hansen killed Noah the Iceman. There we go. Frank Hansen was the one that apparently served in Vietnam, near where a bunch of rock ape sightings were done, but I have not read anything beyond that. Here's the important stuff. What's your favorite kind and flavor of Vienna sausage?
I used to be just a classic gal, and you know, just take a Vienna sausage, put it on a piece of white bread, and just eat that. That was just heaven. But I've actually recently been a convert. I've been a recent convert because of Mr. Martin Groves. He got me my first can of barbecue Vienna sausages.
And then just the new journey was begun. So.
I love the barbecue Vienna sausages. They're really good. They're quite tasty. The barbecue sauce is very thin, but you know, you don't need a lot. We're going to get into some connoisseur stuff here.
Moondog thinks the Minnesota Iceman was the Homo heidelbergensis. I can never pronounce that right.
What's that?
It's just one of those like offshoot type things. You know, it's like an offshoot hominid.
Heidelbergensis.
Heidelbergensis.
This is not the Homo
Heidelbergensis. There we go. I'm like, there we go. He can't spell it. I can't pronounce it. So there we go. Everybody's in the same spot.
It's the blind leading the blind into rock ape territory.
All right.
I'm way behind.
I'm hella behind too, but I'm catching up. Yeah. Bristol, technically, wouldn't the LBL be considered a massive liminal space? Yeah, it's bound by water, disturbances in the earth.
They removed, you know, I talk about this did they put this in Dogman territory about the iron? They didn't, did they?
No, and somebody was trying to go, generally what happens is that Jesse talks about how the mining industry there, they stripped a lot of iron ore out of the ground because there were furnaces everywhere.
There were huge
iron
furnaces.
Industry was like huge there.
Yeah,
they did a lot of iron in a very relatively short amount of time. And generally, iron has protective qualities against the supernatural. And somebody was like, "Well, that's cold iron," and I'm going, "Well, you know, everything's about symbolism and metaphor and." That's what pretty much every religion and folklore and superstition is. It's about symbolism and metaphor and things
and intention.
And the large is reflected in the small and vice versa. And so you're stripping iron ore, you're refining it, okay, and then you're shipping it out. That's symbolic to that area, you know. And then it's surrounded by water. People stripped from the land. All that bitterness, all that death, all these cemeteries that are there.
Digging people up and moving them, or just moving their headstones
and leaving the bodies there. So it's just, there's so much stuff going on there. If you look at any of the qualities that are supposed to cause paranormal or cryptid activity, that's got them. Old cemeteries, Indian mounds. I mean, everything is just in that little area of the LBL. A lot of that's in the Uwaris. You know, the Uwaris we're starting to realize how weird the Uwaris are. Uwaris are a lot weirder than we thought, and we're right next to the damn thing.
And we just now got started kind of digging into this. We've not really done the deep dive into it that we're going to, but we're in the process of kind of turning over some stones with URI.
And where's Kentucky boy at on here? Here he is. Actually, here we go.
Bizarre.
He lives on the Kentucky side of the LBL. He can tell you it's weird, you know.
I wanted to bring this up. You have a couple of people on here, Jay Myers, I believe, asking about Jay and April. We're discussing the helicopters. It seems like anything they see, I don't know where the comment is. I'll paraphrase as best I can. Anything they see about the LBL, there is helicopters in it, like black helicopters.
There are regular helicopter traffic that goes over.
And Fort Campbell is nearby.
There's regular helicopter traffic that goes over. That is not. You're going to see helicopters there, and it ain't got nothing to do with nothing. And they do night training through there as well. What is weird, though, is that if everything you're seeing is training, man, they really train over some areas more so than others. And those areas are areas that are usually associated with violent dogman activity, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we were circled for a while with Martin Groves that night. You know, you couldn't see it. You could hear it. And before we even looked up, Martin's like, you won't see it. It's running blacked out. They always do that here to me. And it circled us for a while. When we found that abandoned campsite, there was a helicopter circling us there at that point. And you start to get to the point where if it's just, you know, they're out on training missions and they're going, oh, what are those people doing down there? Why are they only doing it over these particular areas that also have the other helicopter traffic just seems to go from point A to point B, you know? These seem to buzz and pay real close attention to these particular spots that are also rumored to have dogman activity.
And
it's
sometimes
a weird coincidence.
You can be a hammer and everything looks like a nail, but it's weird that it was happening in these specific spots at these specific times, you know?
Yeah.
I got another one here. Alaskan Care says, what came first? Did the occult bring in Dogman and Hairy Man, or is it the strong evil influence drawing it all? We've kind of gone over this.
Chicken or the egg, man. I don't know.
We've gone through this in multiple locations at this point. Uwari is the newest location that we seem to be finding that happening. And what's strange is these big areas that we go into, there's like a checklist. It's almost like David Paulides' missing 411 checklist, but it's for this type of phenomenon where it's like, okay, you have human habitation, you have occult activity that has gone on or is going on to this day. You've got a lot of human strife and misery. You've got all of this other stuff. The LBL checks these. Our North Georgia research area definitely checks all of these. And now it seems like the URI is checking all of these. The manor, it seems like a lot of these areas that have a huge uptick or a prevalence of cryptid activity, it seems like that it has all of these commonalities, whether it be current occult activity or human misery throughout the ages or prior human occupation. You know,
it's funny because I almost said, "Oh, you're gonna summon Martin Groves with all that Vienna barbecue, Vienna sausage barbecue," and then bam, look at him, here he comes, just like a moth to a flame.
He was probably sitting in a recliner, and then he just heard my voice in his brain say "barbecue Vienna sausages," and he was
like a moth to a processed beef barbecue flavored candle. There we go. So, all right.
If you give me a Vienna sausage cake for Christmas, for my birthday, I will forever.
We're talking about how Heidelbergensis looks very suspect. It looks a lot like a Bigfoot. All right, let's see.
Hellbent Helicopter. Kentucky boy says that he had seen two whited out SUVs driving down the trace in the LBL last Sunday. People had mentioned to us about these white vans in the LBL several times. Again, we don't live anywhere near there. So when we go up there for about 10 days at a time. Last time we were up there was October, November, when we went and we filmed Dogman Territory with Small Town Monsters, and we were up there doing our own stuff. We didn't see any of these white vans that people had described. We didn't see any of them at all at that point. So I don't know if that's kind of a thing that's happening, but we've never seen it ourselves.
Asking about The thin-veiled areas from Welsh and Irish folklore. Yeah, the liminal. I mean, those are literally liminal areas. What is that? The Hill of Usnick. Yeah, I can never pronounce Gaelic. But yeah, it's factors very prominently in a lot of Western European folklore, but especially in like Celtic and Irish and Welsh mythologies, and folklore, that they have these areas that are just known to be thin spots where things are. Usually it's from the fairy, or the underworld, the afterlife, that will come through more often there, even more so in particular times of the year, which are why we go into the American equivalent of those areas on particular times of the year. So,
Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got here.
Talking about not today, Saban was talking about artificial intelligence versus artificial general intelligence and how they differ.
It is for now, but wait until the demons move in. So. Welcome to the channel, Kyle. We're all over the damn place on Mondays. So
Oh yeah.
Sometimes we're topical, sometimes we start with a topic and then it just goes off the rails. So of course, then he has this. AGI doesn't have so much of a soul, it has souls.
Oh God, no.
Plural.
I'm going through the chat too. We're trying to just get through this here.
Chat's blowing through tonight, man.
I know.
These are the best shows, just when we ain't got to do nothing other than just sit here and just let it happen.
Just
you know what I'm saying?
God. Just lie back and think of England.
What is he talking about? He's not today. He's talking about, for those of you familiar, who are faithful, the term legion probably rings when it comes to the reality of AGI. We are many. We are legion. That's what the possessed guy told Jesus when he asked him who was in him. So. Tiffany Hillman's got a good one. I would love to see a study of all these areas in their relation to various waterways. There's so many ancient stories of evil spirits not being able to cross moving water. And that's something that's cross-cultural.
Mm-hmm. We think that may have had a hand in our first crazy experience at Panther Town.
Yeah, because you got into that water and then you shut down and I had to grab you and drag you to the other side. And then once you got past that moving water, and I've mentioned that before, I was going, you can unpack the folklore, the folkloric elements of this as much as you want to. But once I got her across that water,
but on that side, on that bank side that I was coming from is where that guy had his initial experience with that shape-shifting witch. So that's where she was, on that other side. And then you think it was like trying to drag me back, I
don't know, man, but it was just, and again, like I said, it could have just been a happenstance. But it was a weird one if it was. So Bonnie McGee, Bonnie Blue, all those copters even training should have transponder signals right now. The 160th, whatever it's called, the Night Stalkers, they're out of Fort Campbell there. 160th Special Operations Aviations Regiment. They do a lot of night training. They do a lot of they fly in very difficult conditions. So it's not outside the realm of possibility you'd see completely blacked out helicopters through there. Now, keep in mind, they've got a lot of land and airspace of themselves to practice over. But you could see it happening. But again, why do they hover and buzz people and pay real careful attention to these particular areas? And you don't have that happen in other areas.
Yeah.
So,
and when we're up there, we're kind of up and down the trace the entire time we're there. And it just seems like in these specific areas is where we run across them. I mean, we are up and down the trace the entire time we're there, going to these different locations.
And again, what's going to be interesting to see is that Kentucky Boy, you just got to see the LBL to believe it. It also has many emotions. It does. And what you're seeing right now is there's a lot of attention on the LBL.
And we don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Well, it's going to strengthen the activity. But here's the other thing, too, is that, and this is why I think it was so cool that Small Town Monsters presented it the way that they did, is that you've got a lot of people just having like big organized cookouts there, a lot of stuff like that, all with like a cryptid kind of theme, a Dogman theme to it. And
I mean, like we're going to have a convention. We're going to be at a convention.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then you've got people like
it's kind of a gathering of like-minded people.
Martin Groves out there running around by himself on foot with a damn lantern. You know what I'm saying? You know, kerosene lantern going into the woods on foot. There's us going into the woods on foot, alone, going and looking for stuff. It's probably Mike Smith could probably do that if we could get him off the damn fishing boat. You know what I'm saying? So
he's the naval. He's the naval wing.
But there are people out there looking in off the beaten path.
Yeah.
And you've kind of got to get off that beaten path to really get the feel of the LBL. So
it's just wild too. Like what we've been doing over the past couple of years in there is it's been this like ongoing treasure hunt in a way, like when I was looking through those old aerial maps and everything, and I would discover something and it kind of made sense, and it was like missing puzzle piece I was looking for in one of these mysteries about the LBL. It's so exciting. It's exciting to do that. It's exciting to go out there and kind of forge a new path out there.
Well, speaking of forging a new path, maybe it's a path you don't want to forge. Not today, Joe, and I swear I'll drop the tangent. Imagine you have an ethereal being with intelligence, discernment, and unlimited bandwidth. Then let it learn every spoken language and let it loose on a pile consisting of all quantified data and information ever generated by the human race. I still think that AI is going to, I don't know, man. They're just going to go, why did like all of our like AI devices start speaking ancient Sumerian today? For some reason, it's just going to be, it's a horror show just waiting to happen. So, all right.
Sumerian, huh? Maybe they'll become the Anunnaki.
Oh. Now we need to have a show on various hominids that might be Bigfoot, the Almanasti, Heidelbergensis.
Dave Steffi is going to email us about all of this crazy stuff in Vietnam.
Paul says, do you carry one of those tactical super bright flashlights that can light up the whole area? Yeah, Jesse carries like a flood one. I carry like a real intense spotlight one that are both just brighter than just all get out.
Yeah.
They're insanely bright. All right.
Michael Tovar asked, Jesse and Joe plans on doing more Friday interviews. That was our first time interviewing anyone.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. I had a good time doing it. I think we ought to. I know I've talked before about doing a sort of an interview type show, but I've been kind of, sometimes perfection is my enemy.
Yeah.
So,
you guys saw that opening sequence that she did for the latest video that we brought out. That was 10 hours for just that.
Yeah.
Is that 2 minutes of?
Well, from start to where we actually get to the investigation part for our latest video, that period there, which includes that opener and that includes the other stuff, it was like 10 hours of work.
And that's what, 3 minutes long, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing, is there's so much to using After Effects, and I don't know how to use it, and I'm kind of learning how to use it. There's a lot of time that goes into doing this stuff. But yeah, I would like to do more interview type stuff. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I think it would be a really good idea, speaking of this new era thing, if we could talk to more upcoming kind of like-minded individuals.
Or even non-like-minded people that are completely different approach than we are, but are just cool about it, you know? Because again, at this point, I don't really care what people's theories are or how they're going about investigating it, as long as they're not jerks to everybody else. And I really think it's cool when people take a completely different approach than we do, as long as they're doing something novel, just getting more stuff out there. JD Smooth, what do you guys think about what's coming for us with paranormal and cryptids in the end times? Well, I mean, I will also say this, that almost every culture has an apocalyptic section of its particular belief system, and all of that generally, whether you're looking at like, Armageddon, Ragnarok, whatever you're looking at that point, it's got a flood of beasts that are not men basically descending upon the earth at that point.
Yeah.
And it's something that, and we always go back to our friend that does cryptid response it's been real quiet in his area, and he's had a lot of activity generally. And he made the comment about like, just, I wonder if this initial scouting is over with, and maybe that initial scouting took 1,000 years or whatever. And now you're going to see more, what did he say? That now the invasion is going to begin or something to that effect.
The scouting phase is over.
Here, I've got it on my phone still because it was such a crazy quote. And then, of course, Suji was talking about cryptids going door to door and unaliving people. So that's real uplifting, Suji. So.
Oh, it's our bright spot.
You entertain the fine folks while I find this.
I've got one here. Let me go back up to it. Mr. Entertain the fine folks. Let's see. Where is it? Here we go. Tony B had one. He said, "Hey, Jesse and Joe, hope you're both doing well. Just curious, have you noticed certain moon phases affecting various occurrences?" Yes, but we don't have enough data yet to really kind of put together a theory on that. We have noticed that we don't have as much activity on full moons as we expect. We expected like, oh, it's a full moon, it's going to be kind of crazy. But a lot of the times during full moons, we don't have a lot of activity. It's usually during new moons that we end up having a lot of activity.
Yeah, it's very weird. So
it of course is the opposite of what you'd think, I guess. But we always kind of log that when we have some crazy stuff go on or we have experiences. We try to log what is the moon phase during this. Because hopefully when gathering that data and kind of compiling that data over the years, and we've got a long way to go, that maybe we can develop some kind of pattern with that. No luck, sir?
Can't find it, man. So.
And then I'm going to do
last
call right now. Like if you guys have anything else, you got time
to take a few minutes to get through all this.
Get in there and type in your questions or comments, anything like that. And then we'll get to it before we end the show and go make some dinner. Release everybody into their week.
I need to like rewatch the show after we're done, not because I don't want to watch myself, although I do that. But just to read some of this chat because I'm catching it in bits and pieces, and you guys are like brilliant, man.
Best chat on YouTube.
Michael's talking about awesome production. The whole goal for this whole thing was, well, it started off to let people kind of come along for the ride that couldn't go out and do this stuff themselves.
Yeah.
People that were just for whatever reason couldn't get out and beat through the bushes themselves looking for this stuff to kind of bring them along for the ride. And then it became to like gather data and share that data. We wanted to do what you see on TV, but do it for real and just do it with a couple of people, not like giant film crews and just two people out there with the equipment and the training that can get out and like look into these areas and then share the stuff with people to show them that there's actually stuff out there.
Yeah.
And Jessie, in case you haven't picked up on, was like a perfectionist. And so just doing like a regular YouTube video has never been satisfying for her. She's always just like, I want to do, if we wanted to do what they did on TV, but do it for real, I want it to look like that. And I'm going, we're two people. We don't have like Travel Channel behind us, and that has not stopped her. That production quality on that last one was freaking amazing.
And that was kind of an experiment I wanted to put out there too. In doing that, because I had never really, I try to improve what I do with every video that I edit and produce and put out there. I try to improve with every one I do, but this was my first foray at really doing something with a little more background to it and also with a little more of a production value to it. So I was very proud of it. Thank you for all the positive comments, everybody.
Deuster and a few other people are going to be at the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference.
It is.
Gatlin. We are probably not going to be there unless things change dramatically between now and then.
No, we're not going to be there. We've got a case we're working on. We've got to get out into the woods.
We've got some other stuff happening, but Deuster, I don't know if Martin's going to be there or not. So Bonnie Blue, do you see more orbs on equinoxes and solstices? Actually, orb activity seems independent of that for the most part. Although I will say, well, more on the solstice do we see stuff like that than the equinoxes. I don't know why. But the orb activity is probably the most common thing that we encounter. Did you include that light activity in the last video?
I did not comment on it, but
it's there.
It's in there. Yeah.
And those ain't fireflies. I don't know what those are.
No. It's after we reach the campsite and we're looking at the fire ring, and I kind of walk around to the other side of the fire ring, and there's woods behind me. There's 3 distinct flashes of light, and
they go in a they go on a line. It's really weird. So, all right.
Sometimes I present those without comment because a lot of people like to find those themselves, you know, and it's always interesting what people find in these videos that we never noticed, like the jumper thing. Well, one of the viewers found that, you know.
Oh, boy, Brian, part of the Australian contingent. Great show as always. Listen to you on Tuesday morning here in Brisbane, Queensland. Can I get a knife check? It's weird because these are not pocket knives, obviously, but we were like, we need knives for knife check. And we were like, let's get some of the old faithfuls out. I've got an old faithful Western W49 Bowie. It's from Vietnam era, which is actually, we're talking about Vietnam. Whoa. It's a Vietnam era Bowie from the Western Cutlery Company. It's got a little bit of pitting on it, but it's in real damn good shape for the age.
That's pretty sweet.
It's pretty awesome. It's like one of my favorite classic Bowies there.
I've got a Westmark 701. This is just a beautiful piece, and it's very hard for me to find Bowies that actually fit my hand. They're usually these honking Bowies like that are way too big for me. But that is a Westmark 701 Bowie, and it has a leather sheath with it as well. But I like this knife so much, and I got a good kind of deal on it. I actually tracked down another one on eBay. And I bought a second one on eBay.
Just to put
back. And then I posted about it on my Instagram. And this is a couple years ago. And then what did the price of these shoot up to?
Oh, they shot up like insane because people saw them and there weren't that many out.
Yeah, there weren't a lot out there. Yeah. But like the ones that were there, the prices shot up on them. So I'm glad I bought a couple of them. Because that is like the only Bowies that actually fit my little hands, my little monkey paws.
Seven the Strange, you guys going to hang out after the show in Gatlinburg? We probably won't be in Gatlinburg, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to be in Gatlinburg.
Yeah, the day job thing, and then I'm going to probably be working on that, and then Jessie is going to be, she's got some stuff coming up with another case, but
I'm working on some stuff with another case, and I've got some major video projects that I'm still kind of hammering on. That
if things calm down majorly, there's a slim chance.
Yeah.
But even if it gets to the point where I'm going, I don't know if I'm going to drive halfway up there, then have to turn back around, then we're just not going to mess with it. And then Grizz asked, I know we've talked about it privately, but y'all plan on, we were actually talking about that. And as far as what you and I spoke about earlier today, plan on doing videos with interviewing people on their personal experiences. Yes.
Yeah.
What Grizz is talking about is we want to talk to people that have had personal experiences, then go into those areas where they had those experiences. So you see the person talk about what they experienced instead of just hearing about it secondhand from us. And then doing that. So yeah, we finally have gotten most of the equipment we need to do that and do it right. Lavalier mics, some lights. I ordered a box of little lights off of Amazon Prime Day.
One of our I guess good qualities and bad qualities simultaneously is that we don't want to half-ass anything. So that kind of is what leads to that.
Yep. So Martin is familiar with the old Western 49s. Man, they're awesome blades. I've actually got a friend of ours who you always hear us talk about, Denim Devil, who like just supplies us with knives like left and right, gave me the blade. I've got the blade for one, and then the guard, but it's not bent, it's straight. And then I went and found one set of the original rosewood handles on eBay, and I've got to get somebody to assemble it, bend the guard for me, and then put cutler pins through it to kind of do it all up. But I've got one that'll be absolutely mint when I'm done, and I'll probably display that and then just keep this keep this one as my banger.
Bonnie Blue McGee had a question. Speaking of knife checks, can you recommend a good place to get a bowline or a small sickle? I love the curved look.
Yeah,
there was a chick that I was buying.
Night Chant Designs.
Yes, Night Chant. I have some ceremonial stuff I purchased from her. But it is Night Chant. I'm trying to see here. Can you look that up? Did you find it?
Yeah, almost. Let me see.
Or I can. Look
I got it. Here, keep going.
But it's Night Chant Designs. I actually got a ceremonial fan from her that she made. She is she's a Native American in Canada. She lives in a remote area in Canada.
She lives in like a hut in like a remote area.
But she makes beautiful, beautiful handmade pieces. But she'll do jewelry. She does ceremonial ritual equipment.
I got Jesse a tiny. If you're familiar with the story of Baba Yaga from like Russian folklore, Baba Yaga was a Russian witch who lived in a hut with chicken feet and legs, and it would run and scamper. And she made me a tiny hut out of, and I can't remember this, whatever wood Baba Yaga's hut was supposed to be made out of is what this little replica is made out of, and it's standing on 2 chicken legs. It's the craziest thing ever. She just does like weird little arts and crafts type things like that. But
and you know the fan she made me, the buckskin fan with the feathers and everything and the crystals and everything. So I have several. I have a bowline from her. I have that. Yeah, but her stuff's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And so if you can check her stuff out.
Bristol asked, no response from the Lost Dog people as of yet. So if you're watching this,
let us know. Get back to us.
Even if you just go, hey guys, don't want to talk about it anymore. Do something. Please don't leave us hanging. We're not walking away from this, so we want to. We'd like a little something more to go on here. So
yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. I think so, right?
Yeah, I think we're done here.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this rousing episode of Hellbent Holler Live. That was really good. Yeah. A lot of really good discussion takes place. That's what I really like, is this kind of free flow of information and discussion that occurs. I think that everybody kind of learns something. One thing I really like about our chat is there's always these little tidbits that kind of flow into us and these little ideas, and it helps us kind of rethink some of our theories and how we look at stuff. That's why we have the best chat on YouTube, absolutely, in terms of the paranormal field for sure. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining us. I want to thank the members for being a part of this project. And
welcome, Dorothy Wade. It's first time here.
Dorothy.
Hopefully you've been here and you didn't just show up, because we're about ready to end this bad boy.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you guys for joining us. This is always just a treat. We always really enjoy starting our week with the show. That's why we started doing it on Mondays, because it kind of kicks us off and puts us in the right mindset for the week and kind of reinvigorates our desire to constantly pursue these topics and pursue all of this. So I just want to thank you guys so much for being part of that and contributing to that conversation. I'm going to take you guys out on some awesome music as usual. But I just want to thank you guys again. It's definitely appreciated that you take the time to come and join this program every week. So as we usually say, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. I'm going to throw up what we got here. Let's find something else here. This is called
something rousing.
Solarium. That sounds good, right?
Sounds great.
All right, let's go for it. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.